I mean, look at my boy Clavicular, right? He almost lost his business over some bimbo, some girl. He didn't stream for 7 days, and people were already mad, you know?
I was with this girl in my car that I met on Tinder.
Imagine why in the world, or why the world created the women always to mess up the business of a man, the path, the driver, man has to take. Why it's always there. Look at back in history. Always there is a woman showing up from somewhere, kings losing their kingdom, warriors losing the war. Why it's always like this? Not exaggerating, just go back and read some of the notes. Even in some of the fairy tale old Greek mythology, women has always been involved in such a destructive mode. And again, not exaggerating, this is why you should always put them on the side. I don't want to get too maybe sound arrogant or rude in some sense, but you cannot have priority number one to be women, right? Number one priority should always be work. Man is built to work, to create new things, to send rockets into space, to build roads, to build churches like this. Man, imagine you waking up in the morning and you wonder what we're going to do today, baby. It's ridiculous. No, you wake up, you have a plan, there are things that must be done, regardless of the weather, regardless of your social life, wife, girlfriend, right? Imagine if your whole life is kind of dictated and planned by what is your partner interested to do. I understand some people would say, well, your wife or your girlfriend should be happy, right? She should have an interesting life, and I completely agree. This is why you don't have a girlfriend, you don't have a wife. And I will tell you why the smartest and ironically the richest have already chosen this path. Let's look at Elon Musk. He maxed wealth, he maxed productivity, he maxed building, he maxed kids, but he doesn't have wife. He doesn't have family. He skipped the worst part in man's evolution, which is spending time doing nothing, watching TV with your family, taking kids from school or driving them to school, going to these stupid school meetings, parent meetings, all this nonsense. What he did? Let me do the most important work first. Let me prioritize kids. Let me prioritize business. Let me prioritize net worth. Let me prioritize network and social impact. Acquiring gigs, acquiring this, acquiring that, acquiring cursor. Jeff Bezos did the same thing. He didn't max out on this because he was married. He lost half his net worth after he split with his wife, but he did understood that, it's better for me to have like a girlfriend, even though he married for this lady, but it understood that there's a concept where you being free without having to give accounts so much, prioritizing personal life, entertainment, you will achieve much more. Same thing with Bill Gates, right? He understood this probably before anyone else, because some of the media were reporting he was talking to Epstein to get an advice, should he get divorced or what. But anyway, the point is that the big boys, or the smartest from the big boys, who already divorced with the wives, right, who choose effectively to focus on the business, prioritize the business, and put all the social life on the secondary stance. And don't get me wrong, having a wife and girlfriend is not the same as having kids. Having kids, it is a priority. Having girlfriend or wife, no. Just think about why even have 14 kids and 6 or 8 wives. That's different priorities, right? That's what I'm trying to explain, that having girlfriend or wife, it's not a priority. Having kids, it is a priority. Having someone to take care of the kids, it is a priority. And this doesn't mean it has to be the wife or the girlfriend. You have to be strategic. Forget about the old school systems where, everyone should choose his path and follow through. Not really. The path is built or created by the more or most influential individual. That's what Elon is. That's why Jeff Bezos is. Right? He chooses what's going to happen. That's why my boy Clavicular, if we go back to, he's very young, I understand. He wants to live his life, right? But imagine he's on top of the social media game right now. He effectively replaced Andrew Tate being the most Google man on earth, right? So when you're in this position where he in my opinion, surpassed Andrew Tate because he was invited to almost every big, I would say, talk show, network, podcast around the world, not only in the US. He was in the fashion show. He traveled to Europe, right? He even went to Israel. I don't know why, but the point is that for his 20 years of age, he did much more than I believe Tate did. And maybe his social media hype will be longer. Maybe he won't. I don't know. But in my opinion, he is very, very young and he has much more to achieve and should definitely focus more on the business side. Because he could make much more money. Sure, his audience might be kids who don't have much, but he could elevate this. He can, if he really want to focus on the looks max, and he can target, older wealthy individuals who currently are paying thousands for whatever med spas, personal trainers. If he can replace them or can add some value to it, he could charge much more money. He can get ahead much faster. But like I said, this is my personal take. I would never prioritize a woman and put her into number one spot. It's a thing that must be taken care of and should be above everything that surrounds your life. Net worth, it's number one thing. It's a priority. Net worth is number one. Building, protecting, and growing net worth should be your main priority. This is 3-phase process. And then, of course, second thing, it will be kids, right? You can max out on kids like Elon did. You don't really have to bother about, wife or girlfriends. Maybe if you're very, very successful, I guarantee you most women will not, hesitate to have many, many different kids without any particular formal relationship. That's completely fine. Will you wonder why so many different chicks have kids from Elon and no one says anything? You don't cry, you don't complain. You're just as happy as every other woman, right? Who doesn't live with the husband and the kids. Because you're the man.